there, Eric, and hi, Shruti. How are you doing?
Erik says, "Hi, Mama Sita. I'm doing great, thank you."
Love
And
you.
yeah, he says, "Love you too."
Aw. All right, so we're going to do part two of our discussion about women, women's rights, etc. And we have a lot of questions, so I'm hoping we won't have to go to, a third. But go ahead.
I wanted to share with you a thing that happened at home the other
Oh
day.
yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Um, so I have a friend who's staying with me now, and she has been my friend for almost 7 years now.
Uh huh.
And she knows I'm a medium and this, that, but we never talk about it in detail, what I do or Erik or anyone. But the other day, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday, and I don't know why I just started explaining her about Erik. He's my guy, he's my friend, and things like that. So that was her first introduction to Erik.
Mm.
And I told her about you, and she was like, okay. you know, People
Yeah.
who does the research and things like. So she was like, okay. Then after that, my son, who's a year old, he was sleeping, and I had to go pick my daughter up from school.
Hmm.
So she was looking after my son while I went to pick my daughter up.
Hmm.
And then after that, we did some shopping, me and my daughter, and we came back. So we were gone almost an hour,
Hmm.
and we came back, and my friend had this look on her face. She said,
Uh
"Oh my God, I wanted to kill that telephone." I said, "What happened?" She said, "Arad was sleeping, so my baby boy was sleeping, and it just rang 2 minutes back. It just rang." I said, "Oh, okay." So I said, "Okay, who was it?" And she said, "Erik," and she had no idea.
oh. What?
She said,
So
"Erik," and
it,
yeah,
he picked up. She picked up the phone, and she said, "Who is it?" And he said, "Eric." She heard Eric. Oh,
yeah.
wow. Then what happened? That is so cool. He's done that to me too. It's so awesome.
And she thought it was just an Erik.
Yeah.
And the moment she said Erik, and she thought there must be some Erik who knows me, who
Mhm.
called, and I was like, I think that's my friend in spirit.
Did she continue the conversation, or what happened after, or did it just go? The line go
No,
dead.
no, she said because Arat was sleeping, she got scared. She didn't want him to wake up because of the
Mm.
phone. So that's why she said I could kill the telephone because Arat was
Oh,
sleeping. You were
I
here,
know. I know. That
and
is cool.
trying. And Erik did it just 2 minutes before he knew that I would arrive. So even if
Oh,
I up, it will be okay.
yeah, that's awesome, Eric. That is cool. I love it when you do stuff like that, dude.
He's saying thank you. He's saying thank you, but yeah, he's very proud of himself.
He should be. Yeah. All right,
So
that's
my
cool. I can't wait till viewers hear that. And you guys, if you want him to visit you or prank you, give a shout out to him. Let him know that you're okay with it, if you are. Okay, back to women's rights. His first question is about that. And again, this is from blog members. When it comes to women's rights and the hashtag Me Too issues, the fact that every woman I know has been through some sort of sexual harassment or abuse, is it still true that we should be living as we already have equal rights? Like the law of attraction thing, where we just go with the flow and no resistance and act like you already have it? Or is it more important to stand up, speak out, and demand and command equal rights? In other words, should you have equal rights, attract that via the law of attraction, like go with the flow and no resistance and put the intent out there? Or should you stand up and speak out? And if we do that, it is also a form of division. Are we creating more polarizing issues and separation among humankind if we do that? That's a really good question, man.
that is a good question. So let me see what he says.
So, what's the best way to create equal rights for women and respect for women and mutual respect between men and women?
He is talking about when it's needed for us to stand up and say something about it. And and when it's okay to just let go and pretend everything is fine, and then it will be fine. There are these two different things. So he says this Me Too campaign is not about fighting for equal rights. It's not about it is not about fighting for equal rights, but it is about um, not it is about being honest and not be ashamed, and not having anything to hide. So it's more like a freedom movement of freedom from shame or anything you feel that you need to hide. So you stop doing that. So it's about that.
So how do you tell the difference of just letting it go? Like, a guy says, "Oh, your hair looks so pretty," and, touches it. I mean, do you go and stand up and speak out and get the guy in trouble? Or, where's the divide? I just, I don't understand that.
He's saying, Mom, you cannot define in general. So generally what's okay and what's not, because it's very a personal and individual thing.
Makes sense.
So he says, let's do it this way. If you feel uncomfortable about something, you fucking speak up.
Well, do you have to tell on them, or can you just set boundaries with the offending agent?
So first, make sure that they know that you are uncomfortable. So say, hey, thanks for your compliment, but I can do without the touching. So things like that. And so it's a personal choice, and it's personal. Every person has different boundaries. Every person has different limits of how much they can take in and how much is okay for them, how much is not. So so if you are uncomfortable about something, you need to speak about it. So you have to set your own boundaries, and you have to stand by them, or you have to make sure that they're respected.
And I guess you should rat on the person if they are doing something that is so nefarious, and you know that they're a sexual predator. You don't want other people to be harmed, other women to be harmed by that.
If you see something which is completely off, and you feel the need to do something about it, something needs to be done about it, then you you can take up actions in that way. So you can complain and the usual stuff that happens.
Okay, back to equal rights. What can we do as a collective or individually for women to have equal rights? I mean, we're getting there, obviously, but what else do we need to do? Is it a law of attraction thing? The intent and no resistance, or do we need to do something else?
He's saying how will the law of attraction work here? The need that we feel on the collective level to have equal rights in itself means that you feel there are no equal rights.
You have to assume that you already have them.
So the fight for equal right is saying that we don't have it.
So you have to, act like you already have equal rights, like the law of attraction dictates.
When you stop fighting, so when you stop fighting for the equal rights, and when you pretend that you already have equal rights, then that would be a law of attraction.
All right, because hey, what you resist persists. All right, what about some women who are there some women who do take advantage of the hashtag Me Too movement or other situations where they can take advantage of rich or famous men, or be act vindictively? Just a quick yes or no, because I have so many questions.
Sorry, I was listening to his joke. What was the question again? Sorry.
Oh, okay. What was the joke? Tell the joke, Erik.
He was laughing, and I was like looking at him. Why is he laughing?
Oh, okay. Why were you laughing, Erik?
He thinks that's funny. He thinks that's hilarious that some people take advantage of the rich people.
Oh, there we go. Are there are women who do that? Obviously, I mean, there's your answer. Yeah. Now, can women be good soldiers? I mean, isn't there a conflict between soldiering and motherhood in the army of today, or the military forces of today?
Women can be equally good soldiers as men.
Hmm.
Yes.
And should they be? I mean, there's such a conflict between fighting and killing versus nurturing and compassion.
Yeah, not all women are meant to be nurturing.
Yeah. Well, is there a way that women can soldier differently in a way that's positive and can bring an end to conflicts, or I don't know, just anything?
He's saying, no, mom, the profession calls for brutality and the profession calls for that attitude which cannot make it different.
Okay. All right. Okay, here's one from another blog member. Please ask Erik, what are the most important 2 or 3 things that a woman should know to avoid male predatory relationships? And why are so many women across the socioeconomic, well, let's just do one at a time. Go for that one. How can they avoid these predatory relationships? I think one of them has got to be listen to your heart. I mean, people are intuitive. You can get a feeling, an icky feeling about people who are predatory.
Yeah. He's talking about intuition helps when you have a clear mind and stuff like that. But when women have certain needs, if they are broken inside, then it's difficult for them to pay attention to the intuition.
Okay, yeah.
So, but what are those things that they can look for? Is thing is sort of people getting physical with them quite a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Um, in any form. Um,
But how can
he's
they?
also
Oh, go ahead.
yeah. How can they avoid getting into
Yeah,
that sort of
yeah.
he's saying that before you get into any relationship, have a very clear mind and intention of what sort of relationship you're looking for. So don't just fall into it for emotional sort of neediness. He's saying you have a very clear understanding of what relationship means to you, what you want. So it's being aware of what your needs are, he's saying.
Oh, that makes sense. And I really like to look at how does he treat his mother or a waitress or something like that. So that's how is his relationship with his mom. Why are so many women across different socioeconomic backgrounds in abusive, predatory male relationships?
It's the culture, of course. It's the just thinking, I think. Because I'm not getting anything.
Thinking. We did the little Jeopardy tune. Dun dun dun, or cricket sounds.
He's talking about culture. It's mainly to do with culture.
All
That
right, just male being dominant, that sort of thing, and
and
having
then
a right to treating women like objects or chattel. Is that what you're trying to say?
it's because of how this their culture has been since thousands of years,
Mm,
and how women were deprived of education, women were deprived of independence. So it's all about how they have been suppressed.
I see.
Mm,
Okay. How can men and women get along better?
how can anyone get along better?
Uh-oh.
He's saying have more sex.
Sex. You don't like talking like this, do you? Okay. All right. What else?
um he's talking about communication, how it's effective to learn how each communicates.
They
So
communicate differently, right? Yeah.
they communicate differently. So, oh, he's talking about nonviolent communication
Oh,
techniques,
he loves that book. Yeah. Yeah.
and he's talking about learning the needs behind communication. So when you're having a communication with someone else, then what are their needs? When they talk, you can recognize where they're coming from, what their needs are, and how everybody communicates differently. And when you learn effective communication techniques, then you get along better with anyone.
I think so. What are the differences between men and women as far as communicating goes, in your opinion?
Sorry, I lost the thought. He's saying women communicate uh, deeply, very deeply, emotions wise, and men are also equally emotional, but they are effective communicators. They communicate better. They communicate effectively. He says, men. Um,
Oh, well, we let women let their emotions cloud the logic
the,
behind and the intent and the purpose of the communication? Is that what you're saying?
because it's coming from a man, I wouldn't say that. So,
Yeah.
but he says that men just say it the way they feel it, but women think about a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff goes on in women's minds, so things might get complicated
So
while
they pull.
communicating.
Do they pull up emotional stuff in the past and their worries and fears and all? Is that what you're saying? Sort of clouds the.
Exactly.
I got you.
It looks, yeah, so their communication, if you are able to, so when two women communicate it's different, when two men communicate it's different.
Oh
So when
yeah.
two women communicate, they can exactly understand what each other means and saying, and emotional needs behind it. And with men it's quick, it's only the necessary stuff.
Okay. Uh, what advice do you have for women to choose the right man, father, husband?
Right man, so like us in a relationship,
Yeah, romantic relationship.
choose. He is talking about it's important that you pay attention to your intuition. Very important. That's the first
Mm-hmm.
thing. And then he's talking about values. What sort of values you both hold, and um, what are your priorities? So what sort of life you want to live? What will be your priorities in your life? Like you said that being a mother was your priority,
Mm,
and maybe more than your career. So family is important for you.
mm-hmm.
What sort of ideas does your spouse have in that?
Regard.
Discuss,
Yeah.
yeah, So whatever is important to you, discuss that with the other person and see uh, if he also thinks those things are important.
Okay. What about ideology, like, political beliefs, religious beliefs, things like that? Is that important to sort of be on the same page, or?
He's saying no.
Okay. Why do so many women suffer from, and it's true in men, but not as much, suffer from anorexia, bulimia, and other body image disorders?
He's talking about he's talking about
Does he need to slow down?
what happens is most of the time, because I'm not clairaudient, as I said, I get block of thoughts.
Oh, yeah.
I don't always get words, and then I have to use my own words.
Uh-huh.
I
Take the
wish I could
images and the thoughts, the idea. Yeah. Yeah.
so that
Right.
so what he is saying is um, you have to perform in certain way. The women feel pressure to perform in certain way in the society,
And be and look a certain way. Yeah.
be accepted. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I believe that if they don't perform in this space, so if they don't have the right body, that also includes having the right body, and all this comes under performance. So uh, if they are presentable in the right way, if they have the right body, if they can perform that act properly, then they will be accepted
Mm.
in the wider society. So when they feel that pressure and that need, and they feel that they are not accepted in the society, then all these issues.
Why is it, or maybe I'm wrong, but why is the society put so much more pressure on women and their looks compared to men? I mean, we get older, we're old hags, and they get old, and I think I've said this the last time, and they're distinguished gentlemen. I mean, I think men are getting a little bit more pressure than they did in the past, but why is there such a dichotomy in the social pressure between the two genders?
Yeah. So why is this pressure on women to look good? I don't know. It's so strange. We don't know this.
Yeah. I mean, is it true, Erik? Is it true that there seems to be more pressure on women to look a certain way and be a certain way compared to men?
Yes, of course. Yeah, that's true, and he's trying to explain to me why. Um, he's saying it's all about it goes back to, how we said that men needed to control women. So it goes back to that.
Oh,
It goes back to that.
which means controlling how they look.
Yes. So um, he's saying that he's talking about status, and he's saying that how we spoke about marriage, and a person, let's say a wealthy person gets a good looking wife, something
Mm.
like that.
Oh, yeah,
So,
right.
so that sort of thing he's talking about.
All right. Well, and I guess the men that are sort of in charge of most media and even the fashion world, they sort of dictate a lot of body image deals. And women who work in those industries are probably influenced by the men in that industry as far as dictating those standards, those, just ridiculous standards. All right, here's one from a blog member also. As a survivor of domestic violence, I would like to know how a bystander, being a loved one or a friend or a stranger, do to convince someone who is in an abusive relationship to get help. I realize that the abuser, male or female, preys on the victim's vulnerabilities. So how does someone help the victim during the storm? That's a good one. I think knock them out with some ether and drag them to a domestic violence, shelter for women and children.
He's saying that's one way to do it.
No.
But he was talking about fear, how fearful victims are in their lives, and he's talking about I'm losing thoughts today, and it's not coming.
That's okay.
He's saying, and then I lose it. Sorry, I just went pay attention to it. Yes, that's right. So he was talking about not talking about the person's partner.
Oh.
So don't talk negatively about this person's partner.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow, why?
Yeah, so he's saying it's just going to instill more fear in the person.
Oh.
Try to point out to them how bad the attacker is, the abuser is.
Or maybe the victim will feel like protecting the attacker if somebody else is.
Yeah, that's right.
It seems like somebody should go from the side of, you're going to be safe, I'm here to protect you, that sort of thing, and just do things to allay those fears. Like, I am going to take complete responsibility for your safety. Is that something that one could do?
Something on those lines, but not exactly. He's saying rather make them realize or make them remember that how amazing they are.
Yeah.
And how strong they are.
Mm.
Remind them how strong they are and how amazing they are and how much love they have within them and how they are good at something and how they can make their own life and how they should pay attention to their own needs. So talk about stuff that will empower them.
That's really good. Yeah.
You cannot like you said, take them give them something to knock out and then take them. You can't really literally do that because they will come back, run and come back. As long as they are ready mentally to come out of it, it's not going to happen because at the end, every person has to help themselves. So it's empowering the person that's actually going to help them to take the step forward towards making their life better.
That's a great idea, because when you've been a victim of domestic abuse, your sense of self-worth declines, and you end up feeling so disempowered and so worthless. So yeah, you need to bring that back and remind them how awesome we all are. Yeah, that's good advice.
In the domestic abuse, that is what keeps them in the domestic abuse.
Yeah.
Feeling of self-worth, which is stripped off.
It's like nobody else is going to want me, so I have to stick with this asshole. All right. What advice would Erik give to a survivor on with moving forward after leaving an abusive relationship? I am doing really well since leaving, but I'm finding several of the women who I live with in the shelter are still floundering. So how do you move on once you do get out of the relationship?
He's talking about professional help, so counseling and stuff is important. And personally, I'm asking him what can they do for themselves personally. He's again talking about building up self-confidence and not in your mind, not going back again and again. It's very difficult, he says, but not going back again and again to that scenario where you get scared, where the fear comes in again, where you think about how you were abused, and I'm not saying how bad this person is. So we don't want to blame, because when you say I'm a victim and this guy is abuser, then then you're giving that person power over you.
True.
So rather saying this person who abused me must be really suffering inside and must be having going through such a bad the state of mind. He must be in such a bad state of mind that he feels the need to abuse someone to keep them in their life.
Yeah, and they
So
might be.
how difficult it will be.
Yeah, it could be also that they have a mental illness. So, okay, so feeling compassion for that person. That's actually very empowering. When you're in the position of feeling love for another person, and compassion and, well, pity, then that can be pretty empowering emotionally, I think.
Yes, he also is talking about gratefulness. So he's talking about also thinking about your current situation. Once you're out in the shelter, you can think you can be grateful that you are out of that situation and now you can build your own life. So feeling grateful about being able to escape that environment physically is a big achievement, and congratulate yourself and be grateful for the this opportunity or this chance to make your life
That's awesome.
those two
I think that probably everybody who has been a victim of domestic violence probably has PTSD because they've been in some very scary, scenarios. So I think that EMDR would really help. That's the eye movement, something desensitization, whatever, where your eyes go. The therapist, EMDR therapist, has you look back and forth, one side or the other, or sometimes they put these stones that vibrate one side and the other side, or they'll have you wear earphones, one tone here, one tone there, while you think about the horrors you went through. And it's amazing because all of a sudden, it's like she'll ask afterwards, or he, uh, 0 to 10, how much emotional charge is there? Oh, it's 10. Okay. And then later it's 8. And then later, and eventually the emotional charge completely disappears. So I really am a big believer in that. And emotional freedom technique, tapping, where you tap on the therapist taps on certain areas while you're thinking about things and while she or he is asking you questions. So that's my 2 cents. Take it or leave it.
He's like, isn't my mom cool? He says.
I don't know about that. You never thought so before. Okay. What can
So
society? Oh, go ahead.
no, when you were talking about therapy, he said that's where the counseling is important. Mom, he was talking about.
Well, what if people can't afford that?
Uh, I mean, it's available in the shelters. I think they do it, isn't it?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe. Oh, they probably do some sort of counseling. In churches, I'm sure churches uh, will offer something. And maybe there are studies that you can enroll in for free if you just Google it, EMDR for domestic violence victims or whatever. So, um, what can society or the collective do to help women?
What can the society do to help women? So, in what sense help women? In what sense?
I don't know. What do you think the most important sense is, Eric? This is not my question. I don't know what she meant.
It's very personal. He's saying that this question can be very personal. Every person's needs are different. So if we stop saying,
Help find empowerment,
yeah,
maybe. Help women become empowered, because that's where then the equality comes in, and the ability to ward off male predators and to find good relations. Everything is. I think it's all about self-empowerment, maybe. But what do I know? I'm just a mom.
he's talking about celebrating womenness. He's saying celebrate. womenness. Celebrate
Okay.
everything.
You mean what, womanhood? Womanness. That is a new thing in the Eric dictionary. You have some good words in there, dude. All right, good. Okay, oh, okay. Well, just celebrate. The positive nature of being women. And okay.
Celebrate. Talk about it, how wonderful it is, and talk about it in a way which is celebratory.
Okay.
So it about the stories, circulate stories about how wonderful women can be,
Okay.
circulate stories about successful women, what you consider as successful, circulate stories about what how great a mother was.
Mm, okay. Was there, not all women are that great. Some are abusive mothers, and uh, of course, hopefully there's not many, but I know my mom would like be in front of her vanity with her Vogue lipstick, little thing, and brushing her hair and saying, "Beat the children, Jose." So she wasn't exactly the iconic perfect woman. But so not everybody is a good mother or woman. So
What
what advice do you have for them?
he's saying,
Or if you're, somebody in a relationship with those kind of people.
he's talking about how stories affect us as humans and how we copy each other.
Hmm.
And he's saying, when you circulate celebratory stories, when you circulate positive stories, more of that will be copied.
Oh, good.
People aspire to be like that.
Okay. And model it. Obviously, model being a good woman, a good mother.
So people will want to be that person who's being talked about. People will want to copy that energy of how wonderful a woman can be.
Oh, good.
So yeah, that's what
Or
he's
let's talk
saying.
about the inequities and abuses against women in other countries. In your own country, Shruti, I mean, you can say it in your words, with your opinion, something about that. What can be done? What is being done? Um, I mean, Indira Gandhi. I mean, she's the female, prime minister. So why are there these inequities in India again with women?
Do you want my own personal opinion?
Yes, yes, please.
Well, personally, I think it has to do with religion. Everything has to
Oh,
do with
okay.
it. Was the way the religious texts were written,
Which
and
religion? Hinduism?
Hinduism, Muslims,
Okay.
and in many religion, um, it was written that a woman should be like this, a woman should be controlled, a woman should be hidden. Even
Mm,
in Hindu religion, we have a tradition of having it's called gungats, so
okay.
face and things like that. So it's still very prevalent in the rural India, um, which is most of the India, and religion I think plays a big part, and the culture. And but now people are educated, and when you get educated, you fight back about things which don't make sense.
Yeah, because these religious texts, probably men became literate first, and because women weren't allowed to have an education, so they probably sort of rewrote rewrote some of the texts in order to make women subservient, because I don't think a god would have that opinion.
Yeah, so something went wrong there, of course. Yeah, that
So yeah.
or maybe that I think Eric is saying that is what was needed during that time.
Oh, why?
Um, and mind you, all these religious texts are super rich spiritually.
Mm,
They talk about everything that Eric talks about.
yeah. Oh yeah, some of the stuff is wonderful, obviously. You can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. There's some wonderful things in every religion, of course.
So, um, so he's saying that's why it's important that when you see something so nice, so, with the religious texts, and why are they able to be so prevalent and so respected is because they talk about some really nice stuff and truth
Sure.
out there. And then the little thing sneaks in where it becomes a problem. That thing becomes
Yeah,
extremely
because humans have filters, and when they translate, or the religious text, they put their own filters in there.
so that
What's being done in India to further the cause for women's rights now?
the laws are changing. A lot of them are changing, but there's still a lot needs to be done. Right to education, women are doing really well in the field of education.
Good. Yeah.
But again, the system should support women to work after motherhood, which becomes difficult. After they become a mother, then it becomes difficult for
Yeah.
them to continue working. It needs a lot of support from the government, from the corporates, and the individuals themselves need to be able to continue working after motherhood.
Exactly. But in India, they don't. It's not like in some of the other, like some countries in the Middle East, where you get stoned if you're caught, going to a school, or uh, uncovering your face, or
Oh
things
no,
like
no,
that.
no! India is very modern in the
Yeah.
cities. It's no different from the Western cities.
Yeah.
It's it's just like the Western world, but it's the rural parts of India which really
Mm.
needs work done. Whether it's
Okay.
still rooted in the religious things and society and honor and stuff like that, and in the name of honor, a lot of things are done. So
Oh, yeah.
I think the problem is.
Yeah. So in Saudi Arabia, it's coming along too, but when, over what period of time? I mean, is there hope for some of these other Middle Eastern countries where women do get stoned and such for the silliest things?
I'll ask Eric that question.
Yeah, yeah.
What he's showing me the face of Malala.
Oh,
So
yes. The
so
the the student that got shot. And yeah. For doing what? I
so
can't remember. Yeah.
he promoted education for women, I
Oh, that's
think.
right. That's right. Yeah.
He's showing me her image, which I think means that there is hope and there is change
Good.
ahead.
Good. All right. I think I just have a few more questions. Let's see. This seems like a long one. In regards to women's rights, I would love to hear if Erik really does feel women should have the right to abort their unborn child. In my younger days, I was always on the fence about the matter, but as I've grown older, I've truly come to believe that even though it's a woman's body, it is still a life and a human separate from hers, and a woman shouldn't have the right to take that life. I will go back in the vlog because I believe you did discuss. Okay. So basically, to me, I don't think the government should be involved in this moral issue. It should be up to the individual. Personally, I feel like my right to choice is whether to have unprotected sex or not, unless you're raped or incest and stuff against your will. That's where the choice comes in. But and there's so many opportunities to carry a child to term and let some couple who can't have children have it. But that's me. I think everybody has, and I respect everybody's right to make their own decision. But Erik, what is your feeling from a spiritual standpoint?
I'm talking about how a soul knows what it's getting into, and I think JB said this. She said side saddle or something like that.
Oh, riding side saddle. Yes, riding side saddle on the mom, like, I might need to jump off.
Yeah, so that's what he's saying. He's saying that so the soul knows what they're getting into, and he thinks that a woman should have a right to abortion.
Yeah, and I think that it should be an individual choice. And the government should not legislate morality. I don't believe in that. And, I could see how sometimes it would be a spiritual contract for the parents or even the child, whatever, to learn or teach something. So
he's talking about government can say at what age, at what gestation the child can be aborted. That can be said.
yeah, I believe that the abortion rate should be like 100% when they hit their teenage years. Then you can abort them. When they're teenagers, abort, abort, abort. No, not abort the babies of teenagers, but abort the teenagers. Even if they're out of the womb. Get rid of them. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I saw some cartoon where, there's this drive up deal with recycling cans, plastic, and then teenagers. And this father was just like from the car window, just shoving the teen through the little hole. All right. Can you compare the sexes in spiritual and in earthly terms and explain the importance of the differences? And why do women get a physical body that menstruates? It has caused so much problem for women. Historically, it has been seen as unclean. Women are stigmatized, seen as bad luck, or viewed as inferior to men because of menstruation. And even in modern day, there's still much discomfort surrounding it. Sort of, yeah. Why? Wait, what's that? I don't feel evolutionarily it makes sense either, as it hinders movements, and the smell of blood would surely attract predators. Don't go swimming in the Gulf when you're on the rag. But okay, what are your thoughts on that? Oh, there are plenty of other female mammals who don't menstruate. So it's possible, if evolutionarily speaking, for women to have a body that can reproduce without that need. So anyway, spiritual reason, being on the rag. Go for it.
Spiritual reason for menstruation. He's talking about rebirth. He's talking about some sort of rebirth. He's talking about it happens every month for the woman. It's like a rebirth. It's like a new you that happens with every cycle of your period. Doesn't make sense.
Okay, explain a little bit more, Eric. Maybe he doesn't like to talk about this subject. It's gross to him.
He's talking about a narrow window of being reproductive, and it was important to have that narrow window. You couldn't be
fertile
for all the time. So it's to do with that, and it's to do with the hormones that trigger all these things within a woman. It triggers. Oh, very interesting. He's talking about how it triggers, when you're going through your PMS, you actually get, just before your period, you actually get annoyed with your partner or annoyed with a male sex sometimes.
Yeah, so he ain't getting any then. So, yeah, okay.
And how, when you're fertile, you want to be intimate. So it's that natural wanting intimacy and wanting distance that was also needed. So
why couldn't you be fertile all the time? And why does the blood out of the vagina thing have to happen?
He's saying that's just how the energy is being read by the human body.
Okay. Oh, okay. That makes sense. All right.
And that's just how it's being read. Interesting. I'm surprised I'm able to channel this information.
That's very simple. All right. So what can be done, this is the last question, as an individual to achieve balance between the sexes? We talked about as a collective, brushing up on communication. Of course, individually, we can do that too. Nonviolent communication, trying to understand the needs of the opposite sex that you're communicating with, etc.
So what can be done by both the sexes to have a more balanced
Mm-hmm.
approach? He was saying something just sometime. Um, yeah, so that communication is there. He's coming back to communication. Uh, okay, yeah, right, that's it. So he was talking about being aware of your strengths and your weaknesses.
Mm.
So when your needs, because everyone has needs.
Oh yeah.
So when you are aware of what you can provide and what you need, then you understand your own importance, and then you understand the importance of the other person who can provide you what you need. And uh, and we are built in a way where we do provide for each other,
Mm.
both the sexes. We do provide for each other what we need. So masculine and the feminine qualities. I'm not. He's saying I don't just mean that a man and a woman can have a very masculine approach, a very masculine
Mm-hmm.
qualities as well. So both these qualities complete each other. He's
Sure.
showing
The
that
balance, the create neutrality.
yeah. So that white and black circle. So he's saying that they complete each other. They're meant to be with each other. They're meant to complement and support each other. So when we make ourselves vulnerable, he's talking about vulnerability. So when we make ourselves vulnerable, and when we also are emotionally honest, then we let the best flow within us and in the other sex as well. So
Okay.
it's understanding that we need each other.
That's awesome. Erik, do you have any last words before we close?
I'm asking him something that is not dirty, something that is nice.
But he's making it dirty, probably.
Yeah.
Oh God! Oh, tell us. Don't you be holding. Don't be holding.
No, he's just saying the same thing, be with each other, be more intimate, have more sex,
Okay.
and don't be too much in your head, just be in your heart and flow with it.
Okay. Well, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Poor you. He really embarrassed you on this one. Shruti, do you have anything to share? Now, her website is www.shrutikamble.com. SHRUTIKAMBLE. Well, I'll put it here. .com. All right. Anything else you want to share?
That's it. Thank you.
All right. Bye. I love you. Erik, I love you too.
I love you.
Later. Hmm?
Yeah.
What's
He's
that?
gonna visit you now.
Good. Yay. Okay, come visit. Oh, bye.